You see it clearly now. And this just emphasizes the point, me taking off my dirty glasses, that these have transition lenses. When it gets bright, they get dark, but they're kind of like just a little bit cloudy. They're dirty, and they're just kind of in between the dark and the light, just shading my vision a little bit. And I feel like that just emphasizes this message today, that you're seeing clearly now that you don't have to hold it all. You don't have to hold it all together. And I know there's a group of you here who have reached a point where you're just tired. And not like had a long day, lots of stuff going on, kind of tired. It's a bone deep, soul siphoning exhaustion that's been there for as long as you can remember. And that kind of exhaustion and burnout comes from overfunctioning. Maybe growing up, you were the mediator, you were the emotional regulator for your family system. Maybe you were the one who was always calm in the chaos while everyone else was freaking out. You were calm. You might have been the planner, the fixer, and the one who anticipates the collapse before anyone else sees it coming. And for those of us who learn overfunctioning as a coping mechanism, as a survival mechanism, you get used to running on adrenaline. You get used to filling in the gaps for all of the people around you. You get used to holding things and emotions that aren't yours. You get used to carrying a massive load in the background, in people's peripheral vision. But you can only do that for so long before your system fails. You burn out, you start to have health issues, and things start to happen in your life to get you to slow down long enough to realize how much you are overfunctioning. And I'm speaking from experience here. This is exactly where I'm at as well. And I know I'm not the only one. For me, it was a knee injury that stopped me in my tracks and has me in a place where I literally cannot overfunction anymore. I can't. There's so much of my energy that's going into my knee that I literally physically cannot do even a fraction of what I used to do. But it's not even just physically, it's also mentally, emotionally, spiritually, not being able to hold as much as I used to. And it's really interesting and eye-opening to see how certain dynamics shift when you can no longer overfunction, when you can no longer keep filling those gaps for people. Like, I thought I was pretty good at having boundaries, but being injured and needing to kind of look after and protect myself in these new ways is a whole other ball game. And you don't realize when you have been over giving, overachieving, over functioning for your entire life, how deep that programming runs and how much that becomes a part of your identity. because it seeps down into every way that you show up in the world, in friendships, in romantic relationships, at work, in business, in the home. It's this hyper independence, this feeling like if you don't do it, it's not going to get done correctly. It's this feeling of obligation to fill the gaps and to hold the emotional load of things, to hold the responsibility for everything around you and everyone around you, to fill the gaps in relationships and leave yourself out of the equation. And I know that this is the case for a lot of highly sensitive, empathic individuals. It just seems to go hand in hand because we learned early on to be constantly scanning our environment, watching people's facial expressions, energy shifts, and trying to smooth the waters to make everybody's lives easier. But when you're that externally focused, there's no room and space for checking in with ourselves, to listening to our intuition. And there's no space for actually looking after ourselves a lot of the time. And I'm not saying that, then you just have to, cut everybody off and start doing only for yourself. No. But you'll read in my book, Do It For You, that after I had this awakening moment, I realized that I had been overgiving and overfunctioning so hard that I didn't even know what I liked anymore. It got to that point. I didn't even know what my preferences were anymore. Because you get to the point where you just go along to get along. And for me, I didn't even know that it was an option to check in with myself. Didn't even register as an option until I had this breakdown and awakening. It's really wild when you think about it. And this isn't going to be for everyone because not everyone has fallen into this kind of, I'm not going to say trap. It's a coping mechanism. It's something that we learn quite early on that perhaps we can't actually trust the people that we're supposed to be able to trust, or that we just have to do everything ourselves, that we have to look after ourselves because no one else is going to. But all that to say, you don't have to hold everything yourself. And I know that's easier said than done. But when you pull back from the overfunctioning and allow other people to take responsibility for their side of the street, to hold their own emotions, to take responsibility for what is theirs, and you take responsibility for what is yours, you stay in your lane and allow them to stay in their lane. Watch how the dynamics shift. It can be a little rocky in the beginning when you stop overfunctioning. And it doesn't mean that you're letting all of your responsibilities go. It's just removing yourself from overfunctioning in other people's lives. And learning how to take care of yourself and check in with yourself, learning your actual capacity, learning how to rewire your nervous system so that you're not constantly running on adrenaline, and learning when to say no. A lot of people who are overfunctioning, people pleasing, overgiving, that's one of the hardest lessons, is learning how to say no. Learning how to have boundaries and actually look after yourself and look after your energy, and learning your actual limits. I'm at a point now where I'm looking back at the amount of stuff I used to be able to do and the way that I was running around like a crazy person and overgiving to the point of complete burnout over and over and over again. And I honestly cannot believe that that is how I lived. But when you're in it, it's so automatic. It's so habitualized that you don't even realize that you're doing it until something happens that snaps you out of the illusion and the habit, and you start to realize how much you can actually hold, how much you can actually handle, how many tasks you can actually perform really well and consistently without burning yourself out. It's a big shift. It's a fundamental shift in your identity. And it can feel almost scary at first when you stop overfunctioning, because you're still in that hypervigilant state. You're still wondering like, oh, well, is that going to fall apart if I'm not a part of it? If is that person going to fall apart if I'm not there to, help regulate them all the time? It's like making me a little bit anxious even just thinking that way. But when you're holding it all the time, you are always anxious because you're always scanning and thinking about, the people that you are normally regulating and all of these things that you have to do. And there's never time to relax. In fact, a lot of people who overfunction will not let themselves relax because they might be perceived as lazy, or then the things really won't get done. It's just like, it's a vicious cycle. But you don't have to hold it all yourself. And I'm seeing from experience that while some things might fall to the wayside, some balls might drop, some people might even drop out of your life when you stop overfunctioning. It really gives you an opportunity to check in and really fine-tune your life on every level. Figure out what's really important. Figure out your actual capacity. And figure out what you actually like and how you actually want to form your life. Because you don't have to hold it all. I know you might think you do, but you don't. The world keeps turning. Life keeps chugging along. Time keeps ticking away. Whether you're anxious and overfunctioning, or you're starting to heal that and allow yourself to actually rest. And the funny part is, that when you do allow yourself to rest and you do allow your nervous system to start to rewire for rest and a more stable baseline, you actually become more productive, because you can actually give a lot more of your energy and presence to the task at hand, to the people in your circle. And when you stop overfunctioning, you allow yourself to actually be in reciprocal situations. Because when you're overfunctioning, you're just naturally in lopsided dynamics. When you stop overfunctioning, the dynamics around you, the dynamics that you're involved in, will either shift and change to become more reciprocal, or they may fall away. But either way, if a dynamic falls away when you stop overfunctioning, know that that is making room for a more reciprocal dynamic to come into your life. Might take some time, but just be patient. So I'm going to leave it there for now. I'm sending you so much love. Please share this with someone you love, and let me know in the comments down below how this resonates for you. And I will see you in the next one.